50% win rate, so net neutral.
That's what you get for playing and studying.
It's a fascinating support. I really like how he came on the field. We'll get into it later.
You're such a support player. There's an Ivern and a Katarina and a Kled, and you're like, ooh, Malzahar support.
Do you have a moment to talk about our Road and Savior Malzahar support? Are you tired of having 80 carries that are useless? Do you want a champion where you press 2 buttons and you can one-shot any champion on the Rift? Well, the Malzahar is the support for you.
And the support for Mickey, as it turns out. Head on over to Twitter, hashtag SPYWin, if you think they can bring it back. Take this to a 3-game series, or hashtag H2K win, if you think they can out-execute once again to bring this one home.
Do you know how many LCS players I've killed by pressing 3 buttons and have them tilt? That is the beauty of Malzahar support. You don't have to be good at the game. You just play WWER and you win. And then you write in all chat, like, I am a high IQ player.
All right, Crepo.
Enough of that.
Enough about solo queue, because it's time for some competitive League of Legends. It's time for H2K versus Splyce Game 2. Let's get on to the Rift.
There's so much to talk about right now, but let's look at what's relevant in the early game. Let's look at this Ivern. Ivern is a jungle that is super important pathing-wise. So what's really important is that you get information of the enemy jungler. So we're likely going to see Splyce try and find a deep ward somewhere so they know roughly where Jankos start and how to best cheese him.
Of course, we did see Ivern coming out once before in the hands of the Unicorns of Love. Sursa with some very solid pathing overall. Level advantages coming out in the early game for him, exploiting the power of this pick. But we don't know what to expect from Trashy. We don't know what to expect from Jankos either. It's such a intense matchup.
Yeah, Deficio went over it a little bit in his cast, but the basic premise of Ivern is that you go into your jungle, you start the kind of enchantment on your camps, 1 or 2 camps, and then you walk over into the enemy jungle and you insta-smite steal the enemy's buff, kind of while he's doing it, and then you walk away because you're Ivern, that's why.
Well, if you're wondering why we're spectating him, it's because he's Ivern, that's why.
Stamping is so silly.
Talking to Pulse, of course, before he departed to LPL, he's like, I hate this champion. It's just too trolly.
Oh, I love Ivern. I love his kit, I love the snare, I hate playing against him. The brushes are fantastic for Baron and Dragon, but that's more for later in the game. So far, it looks like Jankos is warding one side of his jungle and starting on the other. He saw Ivern late enough that he knows the left side of the map is conceded. So Jankos is probably going to do blue into red. Now Trashy, the conventional path here for Ivern players would be double camp into enemy red buff. But the next layer of that play is knowing that your opponent knows that, so he's going to go to your red buff. So you just go straight down to your red buff right now and you try and contest him on it.
2 minutes in, the lanes have begun, and the chess game has already started for both sides.
Yeah, and Jankos could take that level one more deeper and be like, you know what, I'm just going to clear here and pray that you haven't taken my red buff, and that's what he's doing. So this is a good start from Jankos overall, because he doesn't lose any camps to the Ivern, and he's still clearing at optimal speed.
Definitely wants a little more. We turn our attention briefly bot lane, but not going to be too impactful. Waiting for the level 2 to come out for that Malzahar.
Yeah.
See just how much damage he can put down.
So there's the push early. Obviously, Tahm Kench will get pushed in. If you're unfamiliar in Malzahar support, it's all centered around the Voidlings. It seems like a poke support with Q and E, but you max W actually, and your first spike is on level 2, where you can then charge up and hopefully store 2 Voidlings. You spawn them, you press E on a target, and they kind of run at them like frenzied hounds and chop away. The beauty is that obviously Tahm Kench can devour, but the problem is when Tahm Kench devours, as far as I know, he steals the debuffs from the target, which means the Malefic Vision is actually bounced on the Tahm Kench, and he now becomes the target of the Voidlings.
It's a tough spot to be, of course, once the Malefic Visions lands. 100% bonus movement speed for the Voidlings. Impossible to get away from them.
Yeah, it's possible. You can walk, but you lose CS. So you basically use it as a zoning tool.
Very strong overall. So far, a very calm, very patient early game. You can see Ivern taking the safe clear. So Jankos coming out on top in terms of the overall mind game.
Yeah, Ivern has a super fast early clear because he can prep half a jungle, go to the one instant smite. Trashy really spaced out these double smites to get a super fast early clear, but Jankos has an efficient clear of himself, and he ends on the top side of the map, which means he can assist Odoamne in terms of pressure, and that was the swingy matchup last game as well. Odoamne comfortably pushing and getting first base, and that was kind of the foundation of H2K's victory in Game 1.
And no longer is it the Shen where you have the reliable global to make impact across the map. It's the Kled, an incredibly snowball champion. If he finds a lead, he can dominate a game. So We see Tom Kench pull out there with the Devour in the bottom lane, and we just have to wonder how Wonder's going to respond to this, because Jankos is here. Jankos is ready. Bear Trap on a rope goes in. Odo potentially in trouble, but Jankos is on the way. Wonder may have overstepped. He's dismounted. Pocket pistol not going to take him to safety. First blood for the First Blood King.
Jankos has a way of reading the game so much better than all these junglers here. He is topside when he needs to be. It's like a wizard. He arrives precisely and exactly when he means to. Trashy still power jungling through and stealing some camp, but Jankos doesn't care. He now snowballed his jungler, his top laner rather, and he honestly stays relevant in the game. And he did not lose too many camps early on to this Ivern, so far success for Jankos.
And it's his third First Blood of the year. He's played four games. 3 out of 4 so far, not a bad record to have.
And yeah, it really matters where you end up at the end of your jungle clear. That's where you need to cater your clearing path around if you're a jungler. Which lane will I end my clear on? And Trashy ends up on the bottom side with a pushed-in Malzahar and Jhin that can never dive at Tom Kench. So essentially, he's useless on that bot side. Unless he's going to counter-gank Jankos, he can't really achieve much other than stealing 1 Gromp away. Jankos ended his path on top side, and then went for creative pathing to gank using the plants and the jumps there, and he gets his top laner ahead. So honestly, point to Jankos.
Absolutely. Now Trashy, we wondered where he would end up in his clear. He had a small level advantage, but that window has closed as Jankos evens it up. He does move into the jungle, and now you talked about sight stones, you talked about wards being limited. Trashy mitigating it this time around.
Yeah, he's playing for full utility, especially because while his first clear is good, or like really good on Ivern, there's a bit of a lull in his clearing, especially when the jungle spawns again, because he can't prep those camps on the other side because they're down. So he needs to wait for them to spawn, then he needs to prep them, then he goes to clear them all out. So Ivern kind of jungles in bursts, which means in between those 2 bursts, he needs to find a way to gank because he stays full HP anyways.
Yeah. Well, he won't find a way to gank quite yet, but he does lay down the vision. They will have knowledge of Jankos, maybe hoping to mitigate the impact of that Kha'Zix, because he's picked up the challenging smite, he's picked up the long swords, and it's looking good.
Yeah, so what he lacks in dueling prowess, he now makes up in vision. And we need to see if he can somehow stop this from happening again. Odoamne in game 1 ended super strong. He had more jungle participation from his jungler Jankos, and that led to a massive 20 CS deficit at 10 minutes.
Look at the damage he put out as well. It's very clear. Rumble, not always the champion you expect to hard carry a game, but it's very clear that in the hands of Odoamne, if you give him this opportunity, if you give him this chance, this lead that he already has, things are nigh impossible to come back against. And this feels almost identical to last game in so many ways. Bot lane, the one brief hope coming in for the side of Splyce, but the rest of the map not doing at all what they needed to.
Yeah, Jankos looking for a counter main. Senkos goes in, gets stunned.
Nice placement on the ultimate there. Miasma, he's not going to be able to make it out. Trashy wants to go to the party, but it's too little too yay. Jankos moving forward, Trashy running back.
And you can see Featherfin leans to the left side. Guess where Jankos is? He's been on top side the entire time. The only part of the map, or the game rather, where Jankos has played bot side was this first 2 camps. He's consistently been in the top side of the map. There was a side stone on the side of Splyce. They knew Jankos was on the top side of the map. Yet still they forced the play, jumping in first without Ivern being there on time, and they made themselves susceptible to a counter gank. And now Jankos reaps the benefits. He knows where Ivern is, which means he can steal the buff. And now if the map is divided left to right as opposed to top to bottom, H2K is really reaping the fruits of their labor.
And this is one of the most frustrating things you have to imagine for the side of Splyce, because if we stick with the chess metaphor, there are brief moments. We'll watch the replay before we
Yeah,
get
so
it out.
Senkos jumps in. He knows Ivern's coming. 2v1, this is a sure kill. But you can't do that. There's a pink ward in that brush, you know it. There's another control ward in river. Everything is controlled on the top side from H2K, so you need to make sure that when you go in, you know exactly where Jankos is. Kha'Zix loves nothing more than to counter jungle.
Oh, Senkos moving forward. Jankos maybe looking for the out duel. Flashes forward. Does have the empowered Q. Can just reset it. Senkos.
Yep, invisibility really strong, and Mickey and Cobbett are waiting for the power spike. Shay and Nuclear, all they have to do is survive.
Odoamne moving forward. One trying to lock him up. Bear Trap on a rope. Going to move forward. Daisy's on the way in. One shot. Going to give him the cupcake. Will he get knocked up? But here comes Jankos turning around, looking to burn him down. Tree not going to fall for it quite yet. Daisy more than happy to deliver a sweet treat here, but Bevy goes in, knocks him back. Jankos jump forward. He is fearless. The bush is there to set it up. But Trashy going to flash it out.
That was a really good prediction on the miasma from Featherfin. So when he cast it, nobody was on that miasma. He predicted kind of the dash backward from Wunder, which made it Wunder unable to flash there. So really good one-for-one trade right there.
Now the ult going in, they're looking to lock it up. Oh, nice cancel coming in from Nuclear. IR just gonna pull back. Good synergy coming in, but Shay may give his life. TP coming in, maybe hoping to block out the final shot. Will he complete the channel? Shay sacrificing his life, but Odoamne maybe here to pick up the pieces. The TP coming in. Now they're just looking to trade back and forth. Kabi is living. Bloodbath beginning. Odoamne locked up. That should be another kill, but was he gonna get one? Mickey having to flash to safety.
So that's the problem with his lane. It sounds nice, right? You stop the Malzahar from his casting his ulti with arrow, you devour one guy, but then there's Jhin ulti and so many Voidlings on the back end. So Nuclear and Shay essentially overplayed their position. They can do exactly that if they're in a defensive mindset. But if you ever get into an aggressive position versus a Malzahar, what's going to happen is he's going to spawn his first 2 Voidlings, and they're immediately going to multiply. And then they're immediately going to multiply again, so you have 6 Voidlings. If you run away from them, they can never stack up to 6, which means you will be safe. The problem is if you go aggro on a Malzahar, we see it again here, you can never go for this engage. Because you just walk up too close, he gets double up on the Voidlings, and then there's just too much damage. All Nuclear or Kabi has to do here is slow, and the best solution here is just to sacrifice support.
Works out in the end. They have to burn a ton of summoner spells here, though. A single overstep from the Tahm Kench. I mean, you said it yourself. You want to kill a pro player, WWER, whatever you got to push. Just kind of mash it all.
Just press your buttons. Don't cancel your ultimate. That's the only thing you can do. And this is a good moment for Splyce because they alleviate some pressure from the top lane. They punish Odoamne for teleporting, and Wunder can maybe get back into the game.
Yeah, Yanko's now moving into the mid lane, though, maybe hoping to build a greater advantage. Bot lane coming in for H2K. They want absolute control here. Miasma to stop the advance.
Oh, that's another really good use of globals here. H2K did this in game 1 as well. Mithy was praising it on the desk. Nuclear and Shay are very aware of when they need to leave their lane and assist in mid. They do exactly that. They thwart the counter gank from Wunder here. He could have went in with the Kled ultimate. Combined with the gank flank from Trashy, this was Splyce's way back into the game. H2K stopped it with a well-timed voyage.
Very good use of the Tahm Kench ultimate. We're seeing this pick in a meta full of range support. Still retain his power.
He's bold.
Could have just gotten engaged on there. Of course, Nethergrass is up and available. Odoamne now going to try to fight it up. Here comes the charge from Kled, but he's too far away. Odo making that safety flash over. Bear Trap on a rope should condemn him to death. Are they going to turn it into a Rift Herald? Because Odoamne is just going to get cut down.
Yeah, and this goes back to the bottom lane. Support overstepping, forcing top laner to teleport. Odoamne, no summoners in the top lane. He gets hunted down by Trashy and Wunder, and Splyce clawing their way back to the game.
Jankos, of course, though, with the empowered Q, takes his time on the Dragon on the bottom side. The Cloud is going to be a bit of a bonus prize there. They move forward in the game, but they have to be careful. Kled can be a powerhouse if they move forward, and 0-3-2 is not the scoreline we expected from Odoamne.
Baby looking strong though here. Look at the CS deficit. Gets a stun onto Daisy, which is the stronger part of Ivern. That's something at least.
It's like 2 champions. One of them is very good, that one.
Yeah.
The other one is It's kind of like Bard.
That doesn't feel right. I feel that may have been a bug. I think Daisy should have died there. Let's move on. But yeah, Featherman is doing really well in this Katarina matchup because the Miasma can counter her kind of rapid bouncing around and there's rapid DPS. But if you mess up once, if you miscast the W from Cassiopeia, there's nothing preventing Sanctix from all-winning. So Featherman is playing really well. He's reacting to pressure on the side lanes too. Kind of leaving his lane when he has to. Much better performance than day 1.
Yeah, and you can see a very sizable gold lead for him in the mid lane as well. About 1K up in his favor. That's farm, that's kills. No global objectives taken yet by either side, so the game hasn't broken open. The laning phase continues to extend. Look across the lanes, everything coming up pretty well for H2K.
Yeah, but H2K has been playing very well with control wards. There's always been at least 2 or 3 on the map. Look at them. Top lane has a control ward. There's double control ward around mid, allowing Featherman to really push the advantage home. And then they defend the wards as well. It's really well played by H2K.
It's not just on the map, it's in the inventories as well. You can see Jankos placing one, another one in the back pocket of Febiven as well as Che. The team very aware to how vision control is important, but Jankos not quite aware where he needs to be. Will just get eaten up though.
Yeah.
Our favorite note button.
That's big. I think that's a big punish. Losing that cooldown essentially renders Malzahar useless as a pick.
But he has a silence, Crepo.
That's later on in the team fights.
Yeah, definitely not what they wanted whatsoever. They retain control over the jungle for a little bit longer, but without the ult, their claws are kind of taken away from them.
But you can definitely see how the snowball stopped in the top lane, though. So that is what Splyce were looking for, a bit of a reprieve. And the game slows down.
You see the Tiamat coming out as well, allowing the Kled to keep up with the Rumble in terms of the push pressure. Now moving out of the lane, trying to get a little aggressive trading here. Nice slow coming in from the harpoons. Bear trap on a rope. Best ability name in the game, by the way. Fantastic. Please let's name more things ridiculously.
Gets even better in German.
I'm so afraid to try to pronounce that.
Move away from that one. Mickey and Kabe moving to the mid lane, looking for a pick here. Opening with the ultimate, a little questionable.
Maybe trying to get the Devour out early, but
They're looking to make a pick, but they didn't know, or they weren't tracking Tahm Kench, is essentially what happened there. But Malzahar doesn't even have ulti, so this is poor communication. This is kind of seemingly random plays by Splyce. They're moving into 1-3-1 formation. It is mid-game. Katarina can go on the side lane. She can punish AD carries that are straggling on the side lanes very hard. So this will force Febiven to play on the side lane. I like this movement, but I'm not quite convinced of what they were doing with that Jhin ultimate. It speaks of communication issues as well within the Splyce team right now.
it has to be a big question. Of course, this is a team that we saw perform so well during the regular season, defy expectations to come in second overall. They went to Worlds, they struggled a bit, and we're still wondering a bit. They struggled a lot. We're wondering, you know, what is the final form of Splyce? They've kept this roster. What is the ceiling here? Because we're really not seeing it.
Yeah, that's the question, honestly, for this season. It's too early to judge, but there is a question on a lot of pundits' minds whether Splyce has already hit their ceiling. Can they still improve in a rapidly evolving kind of metagame of League of Legends? They were really good in summer, but have they surpassed their prime? Because on paper, they should be beating this H2K squad, but H2K is playing a really solid game.
Absolutely. Now, of course, it's not quite as disastrous as the last game. Odoamne has been shut down. Jankos is still out of control, but overall, things aren't quite as weighted against Splyce as they were in the previous matchup.
Yeah, liking some of the builds as well here. The earlier Abyssal from Febiven working against, obviously, that gang combination from Trashy and Senkux. Trashy playing the utility on the Ivern, going as far as an early sidestone into Redemption. He's basically a second support. You can do that, especially when your support can't build Redemption himself, because Malzahar core build is CDR boots into Sidestone, and then you basically build the components of either Liandry's or Rylai's, and you can pivot at any point. Because if you build Ruby, Amtome, Blasting Wand, you can still go into either Liandry's or into Rylai's Crystal Scepter, so you can pivot whenever you want. If you snowball, you can go for early Magic Pen, but I think it might just be a Rylai's Rusher for Mickey, because he's not really snowballing, and he wants to slow in teamfights.
Yeah, happy to have the additional CC, especially for Wonder, to keep him in melee range on the Kled, as well as to keep Daisy nice and close and comfortable on the front lines of those team fights.
Yeah, that's what they're looking for. Deathball squad, allowing Senkux to then jump in and get one finisher off. So the outplay that we're looking for is from Shay, honestly, with a solid Devour, saving that reset from happening.
And it's so terrifying because very rarely do we see a champion that is so oppressive in the late game as you move forward, especially in this meta. But I mean, Katarina is one of those champions. You can't afford to make single mistakes against them.
But we saw as well over in North America that she can get shut down really easy.
Oh, Jankos looking to shut him down. In comes the Redemption. Jankos to get a little more. The heal comes in. Jankos in trouble. Nice footwork to make it out. Trashy gonna block it, but Jankos still gets the kill. I don't even know what hit him. Trashy taken down as well. Disaster strikes for Splyce.
Yeah, lingering damage from Jankos there over time. That was really close. Really solid Redemption hit there from Trashy, and this hits Senkux. Look at him, player cash. 0-3 right now. Really suffering in this game. That's a really good reaction from H2K.
He has to be frustrating. Forced to pick up the Axe Drinker in the early game to mitigate the early damage. Wants to get to the Gunblade as fast as possible, but it's 17 minutes and he's just got bits and pieces of every item he needs.
And you can tell that this is a type of composition that's worked for Splyce in scrims. It makes so much sense. You have Wunder snowballing top lane, then he starts roaming into mid lane with his Kled ultimate. Katarina gets 1 or 2 kills, she starts roaming this Malzahar Jhin lane. When you play scrims, you play a little bit more loose. You know, you go for the flash ultis, you go for the aggro, you don't really respect jungle too much. But they fell behind, mostly due to this guy right here, Jankos. He shut down the pace of the early game for Splyce, and then Senkux
Heal for him.
Killed him.
The red buff tick. It looks like he has a bunch of health, I think, because of the Hex Drinker.
Yeah.
But he didn't have that much health. Just a shield against magic damage, but no shields for the true damage there.
He dies, and then it's all falling down like a house of cards here. All these codependencies for Splyce no longer happen, and they're locked into just defensive posture.
And of course, yesterday when we saw the Ivern in the hands of the Unicorns of Love, it was all about facilitating another pick, but this time around, it doesn't feel quite as picked with a purpose here.
I mean, they're running a pick comp with Jhin and with Ivern and with the Kled ultimate. They basically want to find kind of lone stragglers on H2K and just one-shot them.
TP's coming in. Splyce maybe looking to set up the fight. Nuclear just going to get devoured, though.
Watch how Shay is always out of sight.
Oh, Mickey too important. Trashy on the front line. Kabi now in trouble. This is disaster once again for Splyce. They made a desperate move. Now Wonder from the backside. Nuclear moving forward, but it's just not enough. Splyce, they're going in one at a time. H2K is picking them apart. Senkux wants to make the hero play. Can he get the reset? Flash out. Double kill for H2K.
Yeah, really poised movement there from Nuclear. This is the Abyssal Burst. Mickey looking to go down.
Trying to save him. Kabi's on the back line as well. Just wants to remount. Not even going to get it in time. Fevivin cuts through the Kled.
Yeah, really well played by H2K. Nuclear is calm, flashes out of Katarina, returns the damage. They kill Senkux. He is 0-4-0, doing absolutely nothing in this game. Major props to Shay, hiding around the corner. He was basically baiting the Malzahar ulti, stepping forward the second Mickey flashes, and then casting Devour. And at that point, the card house started falling down again for Splyce.
And it was a slower start this time around. It felt much more evenly paced. We wanted to see more from Splyce in the early game. They balanced out Ottawamne on the top side, but once again, H2K, they punished the mistakes of Splyce time and time again. It's clinical at this stage. There's, I mean, just so little room for Splyce now to come back.
Yeah, so Mickey's looking for the play. Shay walks in, is like, yonk, I'll get you out. Mickey's stuck in turret aggro. He goes down. Suddenly Trashy eats an arrow. Kobe is in turret range for some reason. Senkux, he wants to go in, but he knows he can't. He can't one-shot Jankos. Then Winter comes in, and it's not time with the team anymore, because once you start casting the Kled's ultimate, there's no way of stopping it. And then this flash from Nuclear is the one thing that prevents the reset. And at that point, it's cleanup.
Yeah, Wonder not even going to get the remount. It's all too easy for the Tahm Kench to follow through on the fight.
One thing we learned from H2K today is that they really like playing high damage compositions. Not a single tank in between jungle and top in both these games.
See the frustration on Senkux's face, because all it takes is one reset. All it takes is for Kled to come in maybe a second sooner for him to have the freedom to jump into that fight. Eyes off him for just a second, since he can get the damage out.
He's playing Katarina from behind against double exhaust versus a jungle that can go invisible and prevent you from getting more resets.
So hard to deal with. Still putting out insane damage, but if you're not getting the kills, if you're not winning the fights, it does not matter. This could once again turn against them. Mickey path is going to be popped. Jankos running into the air. He doesn't have enough damage to take him down, but the fight is now on the top side of the map. Mickey going to go down in the end. Trashy potentially next. Jankos can get resets too. Stealth up, leap in, going to try to grab another one. Trashy potentially going to go down, but in the meantime, the fight on the bottom side moving in the favor of H2K. Kabi, the last man standing. Senkux alive as well, and it's not enough. The Katarina is going to have to run.
I picked up one kill right there. Shay is still alive. As Tahm Kench versus Katarina, you either live long enough to prevent the reset, or you become the reset. So that's exactly what Shay wants to avoid.
Warding up.
He's pretty fed.
Yeah, staying safe overall.
And you know, he knows exactly what his role is. Look at his build right here. Don't look at his build right here.
Look at the fight!
Look at the fight. Open up on Trashy. It's good to engage on utility junglers to start the fight. Shay goes in for the peel. Redemption is used, like defensively. This guy survives. I really love what Shay is doing in this game. They're dragging them forward. Jankos finishes off the enemy support. He's very low. Then the resets don't happen. He goes in a little bit far, but he enables Fevivin. All the cooldowns get soaked up by Jankos. Senkux picks up one kill. It's just not enough. Pretty calm and collected fight from H2K. Yes, maybe Jankos can go in a little later, but I like that they're playing in unison pretty much. Always really good target selection. And the point right now for the build is that he's going Ruby Side Zone into QSS on Shay. He has only one job, which is remove the CC that's on him so he can get to the target that he has to and then devour them and survive. Once that's done, he's allowed to die.
Activatable item cooldowns coming in. Potentially a locket coming in next just for a bit of extra shielding just to present the resets even further. But
because he's the only tank on their team. So when Kled casts his ultimate, he wants to walk in front, take it, but then he's going to eat a bunch of CC in Jhin Snare, maybe Malzahar ulti himself, maybe the Snare from Trashy. So he's going to say, I'm going to get out of this with QSS. Malzahar can never ulti me because I'll survive. And then if you're Mickey, you're looking at a Tahm Kench that can always devour anything. It's similar to Ashe. You can't CC the Tahm Kench because he has QSS. You can't CC his teammates because he's Devour.
I'm unhappy because I eat.
Well, that's a different one. But I know that one as well.
Moving in, Jankos caught out here briefly. Curtain call coming in. Not going to be enough. Devour stops everything.
He hops into the belly.
Perfectly safe. It feels so frustrating for Splyce. Maybe they didn't expect the Tahm Kench to come in here, but I feel like the majority of their comp is shut down by this pick.
Their second ban rotation could have been TKMF, and then they would have been fine. This is a pure staple meta pick. I think they just undervalued the weight. that Tom Kench brings to a composition.
Shay now stepping forward, knows that those major cooldowns are off. Equalizer goes down, Mickey in trouble, he's gonna get popped. Katarina goes over the wall. Daisy comes out to look for the disengage, but getting burned down just as quickly. Actually gonna swag walk his way out of there, but not gonna get anything in exchange. H2K picking up a pick.
2 games in a row now is H2K very grouped, condensed in the mid game, mid to late game, after getting an advantage early, off the back of their bot lane playing passive, and Jankos snowballing the top side of the map. It was mid in this game, but it was again early pressure around Odo on this. So we're seeing a bit of a trend from H2K. It's early to highlight, and they're looking to take the Baron buff right now.
Going ever lower, looking for the CC to stop it. At the end of the day, they are going to get the Baron buff. In goes the Tom Kench. He's bringing the Cassio into the back lines. Wonder has to respect it. Moving in, moving back, moving forward onto Febvin. The exhaust comes out. Good damage. Ult comes in from Kled. Febvin in trouble. Dismounts. Now he's going to die. Febvin running forward, but the low health bar is still there. Flash forward. Nuclear going in, going off as he tries to find more kills. Shutdown going in as well, but it is not enough. Kills picked up from H2K across the board.
Shay walking back and forth like, who do I save? Turns out no one. My team's winning anyways. He actually accidentally ate Jankos while Jankos was going for the kill of Senkux. It allowed Senkux to survive longer, but it's still a super easy ace here for Splyce because they killed Mickey early, I think, and he's now back again. It's so hard for Splyce to fight back at this point. Their composition has been broken down, decomposed, and H2K is enjoying what's going to be a clean 2-0.
And we had a big question about Febvin in this matchup. We said you give him the Cassio, the priority is on him to make these plays happen, to stop the Katarina, and that's exactly what he does.
Yeah, 0 hesitation on the Baron. 4 damage dealers in a composition will obviously murder Baron. They put in Cassio in the back. Jay looks back, he's okay, he's fighting against Wunder. I need to help Jankos to not get reset. Jankos is killing Katarina. Yoink! I'm gonna get this kill. No, turns out you can get it yourself. And then the fight is
Just
over.
donating it to his fellow Korean on the team. Nuclear happy to pick that one up. Moving in for more. And this is the form of H2K I think we were hoping to see in their first game. We didn't expect it with the new team. We didn't expect clean communication, confident calls, but we're seeing it here today.
Yeah, or it highlights that we were wrong about the teams that they played against. We thought H2K played, or I thought at least they played very poorly, and their opponents played even worse. So it kind of was a bad matchup, but right now H2K is playing super clean. Splyce touted as being the kind of best team here. Honestly, disappointing.
Yeah, expected to top Group B, but a 10K gold deficit is not a good look for a top team. Shay moving down. Senkux dodges out on the arrow, but the pressure's on the bottom side, and you do not want to approach that tower with that miasma waiting to cut off any hope of escape. Oh, 1v1 on the top side, Odo. Didn't have enough, but now they're ganking on the bottom. Exhaust goes on to Jankos. Tom Kench coming in. Slow goes down from the Petrifying Gaze. Daisy comes in, but she's just running for his life as well. Knows the fight is already doomed. H2K in absolute control. Odo having fun in his 1v1 on the top side, but the tower's going to drop. Inhibitor will be next to follow. And Splyce really out of options this time around once again.
Yeah, super clean 4-1 here. Odo keeping Wunder busy. He finally drops down right before mounting again. Senkux looking for a jump here. Shay always ready to devour. Final ultimate stacks come out from the Jin. Kobe looking for more bullets.
Not enough bullets in the gun, unfortunately, to take down the side of H2K. Shay moving forward, TP coming in. Wunder is dead for another 28 seconds. This could very well be the game, but Jankos is caught briefly. Malzahar's going in. Jankos now set to fall. No, Shay says no. Time and time again.
Ooh, Senkux was very close to getting multiple resets right there. So this was the only potential point of failure, but they can't grasp the opportunity, and H2K looking to clean it up.
Absolutely have to praise H2K as they move into their second game win, their 4th game win of the week, their 2nd series win. H2K off to a clean and confident start as Che takes the glory in the last seconds.
H2-1, H2-0 right now for H2K. This has to feel good for them. Really good opening week, all in all.
Absolutely. I mean, impressive play across the board for the team. Nuclear and Che slotting in so well. Che, give him a clear job. Your job is to save people. He did it time and time again. And almost no options for Splyce for counterplay.
No, from a point of self-preservation, H2K's bot lane has already impressed.
Playing their role in the end, and that's often what it's about. You gotta hit those skill shots, you gotta have those mechanics in those crucial moments, but more important that you're consistent and knowing what your job is on the team.
They dodged a roam 5-man party bot. That was the final nail in the coffin for that game. And they played well enough around the all-in. There was a small slip up in the early game, but that's maybe due to our unfamiliarity with Malzahar support. But then again, Jankos was just, I mean, this guy was reading the entire game. We talked about the 5 avenues deep of Iron Mind games where he goes all these different paths and Jankos reads it. He predicted what Thrasher did. He matched the pace. He got to the right side of the map where he wanted to be, which was top side. At the end of his clear, he ganked top. He was hovering around mid. At one point, this man is just gonna get an ego.
I mean, at this point, he deserves it. Reading the opponent.
That's why.
Give him the quick shout. He's checking his damage dealt. The final
he
game.
knows. I think Crawley can be happy as well. We can already see the kind of the macro that we're so used to see from H2K show itself in his game. Really using minion wave pressure, especially game 1. Super happy with that one moment where Odawaman was dancing back and forth, waiting for the wave to push, reveal some members, move to a different lane, pick off in a numbers advantage.
And that sacrifice of the individual for the greater good of the team is something that we saw across almost every member. Everyone willing to back up, everyone willing to give up CS, to give up posturing in a lane, or a glory moment for themselves to give someone else the chance when it was the cleaner, better option. And
I feel like you're trying to convince me here or something.
I'm not. I'm really excited about it, man. It was
Stop trying to take a moment for yourself every single time. It works in casting too.
At the end of the day, H2K, I mean, played beautifully throughout that set, and I think the bigger thing here is if H2K keep playing like this, we can expect good games from them coming forward no matter what. If this consistency comes through, but now Splyce is the big question mark for me. What does Splyce have to do in the coming weeks to sort this out?
I think this is a drafting issue. It's an issue that is fixable by play. They're playing very snowbally compositions as well, but I think the main issue in both these games, you can at least question the draft.
Absolutely, but of course that's enough from us. We do have Pyrotechnics standing by with the new mid laner of H2K.
Thanks very much, guys. Great cast on the day. I'm joined by Febivin, the new mid laner, the old mid laner of H2K, if you want to go back a couple years. First off, congrats on your win. And I want to ask you a little bit about some pick choices because we saw the first Katarina in EU here and the first Cassiopeia. What made you want to pick that champion? How'd you know it was going to work out so well?
I know that if you play Katarina a lot in solo queue, it's just a champion that is. I feel like it's only good against players who don't understand how a champion works. It's always like that. Like if you don't know with Katarina and I'm playing with Exhaust and we have a good team composition against it, then she's not gonna do a lot. So I was really confident in my picks against Katarina because I play Katarina myself and I know her weaknesses and her strengths. So it was kind of easy.
Great. I'll remember that the next time I have to take on Vedius, and I can actually shut him down for a change. So it wasn't just you that had a massive impact, but excellent play on the series overall. I want to ask you a little bit about the team and just in general, like the comms and how you guys played seemed a little haphazard on day number 1 against Origin, but it looks so much cleaner, so much clinical, what people were expecting out of H2K. What changed between opening day and today?
I don't think a lot of things changed between like the games 2 days ago and the games today. I think we had some small mistakes that we improved. Not specifically communication because it's really tough, but I think we just played a lot better today, and I think Splyce really underperformed. So it was much easier for us. Yeah.
Definitely seemed that way, and you guys seem to be so much more together, so clear. Ryu was kind of known as a shot call on the team, but you came and replaced him this year. How are the comms in the team? Like, who is really making these big play calls?
I think we don't have like a main shot caller. It's just everyone giving information, making calls, asking questions. Can we do this? Can we do Drake? Can we do Baron? Can you cover me? All this stuff, and I think we are just trying to get all on the same page. What we need to win the games in practice. We just try to play the best stuff possible. We try to communicate properly, and I think with a lot of time, we will be a very good team.
Well, it's certainly off to a great start for you guys, 4-0. One last question I want to ask you, Febivin. Now that we've had a chance to see everyone play both groups, A and B, what is your opinion of the relative table strength, and who has the edge looking at it going to the next weeks of the split?
I think it's really tough to say. I haven't scrimmed most of the teams yet. I think I scrimmed only five teams in the LCS yet. All the teams have like new rosters. But I can say that Gamers 2 and Fnatic, they look really strong in the other group. And I think for our group, Unicorns are looking very strong, even though we haven't scrimmed that yet. I saw them playing yesterday. It's going to be a lot of competition because there's so many good players, so many good teams right now. And yeah, it's just going to be tough, but I think we can do really well if we practice properly.
Absolutely, and you guys seem to have practiced a decent bit already, and very, very kind words and enthusiasm for a lot of the teams here in EU. Thanks again for joining me, Febvin, and congratulations on your win. But for now, it's time to lock and load into the post-game lobby.
Welcome everybody to the post-game lobby, where I'm joined by Stress, Perks, and Mithy to look back on week 1 of the 2017 EU LCS Spring Split. Thank you so much for joining us, gentlemen. And we're going to start by taking a look at the last series of the week, which was H2K versus Splyce. H2K, they had already won their first series of the week versus OG. Up versus Splyce, it could have been an equal fight, but H2K dominated them.
It was disappointing from Splyce, really, when you look at it. I mean, we expected so much more. H2K just tore them apart. As soon as we look at the in-game, just H2K were drawing them around the map time and time again. Big fights going all H2K's way.
Is it safe to say that OG was a harder opponent than Splyce?
I mean, least to be discussed, but in terms of where the gold was at 20 and 25 minutes, maybe. You're not going to offer any more analysis?
I just thought it was funny to comment.
That was funny indeed.
Well, we saw Febvin in Game 1 going off pretty heavily. Perks, your thoughts on his performance? I mean, Game 1, the Jace. What do you
I think he's playing really insane. Or like, he's playing really good. He's playing how he's supposed to play. He's playing, I think him and Jankos are really good mid jungle. Like, together, they play really good around pressure and around where to move or when to gank. I think Jankos is like really good at ganking too. So they're a really good duo, I think. And that's why they will be a really strong team.
Jankos was also player of the series, especially awarded by Perks also. So he'll thank you for that. One final thing maybe about Splyce. We saw them in their first match. Really not a good showing, Mithy. Why do you think that was, and how do you think they can evolve?
I think they just got frustrated as soon as they lost their first 1 or 2 kills, but I really thought Splyce was going to put up a better showing than what they did today.
I think in Game 1, like, draft was not so well done by Splyce, so it's like kind of an excuse for them to lose the game. But I think in Game 2, the draft was pretty good, and they had like everything they needed to win the game. Was just they had a good comp, they had a good 1-3-1, they had good after level 6, but they just fell too far behind. And after level 6, they did some poorly plays. Half a Biono to like Katarina. He didn't play the matchup as he was supposed to play, I think, and he tried to force too much, so he got punished for it. And I think after that, it was really hard for him to come back. So mid-jungle of H2K was just pressuring them up.
Much stronger in the first week. Splyce will have to go back to the drawing board. I do want to highlight another matchup we saw here, the very first one of the week. G2 Fnatic. This is now 2 days ago for you guys, 2-1. What were your thoughts, Mithy, now that you've had some time to think about it?
That's exactly my thoughts. That's really exactly my thoughts, because I really didn't, like, the games were so messy, there was so much action, and it was really...
fun to watch, though, if you guys want to rewatch it.
It was really fun to play too, actually.
I think for me, it was like I was extremely nervous this series, and here I'm seeing myself getting a bit outplayed. But here, in my excuse, I didn't know I was in turn range, so there was like someone played the turret to be a bit longer range.
Right.
So that's a bit unlucky. And overall, the series was really insanely hyped. I think both Millers were like kind of nervous because I played really bad, or I played good after lane, but I played really poorly, and Cubs didn't play at his level what he's usually used to, so it's like...
Cubs is better, is you're saying? Cubs is better than what he did?
Cubs is really insane, but he just didn't show it yet.
I'll write that down
and
on our
I think,
list.
that's a good meme. And I think Game 2 and 3 were like so messy, so I had no clue what was going on.
Yeah,
Well,
we were
you
even
guys did
tempted
win.
to the old Fnatic backdoor with the rise from Caps. You've heard, Perks, your thoughts on Caps. Mithy, quick thoughts on Jez's return to the Rift?
He played well in those games. They had a bad matchup every game, and they did fine. But the matchups, like I was saying earlier like when we were talking about matchups and bot lane, they just had a bad matchup, and at some point they lost their tower. But he did fine overall.
All right, well, it was a very interesting one to watch. If you're going to rewatch one of the matches this week, you should certainly watch Fnatic G2 again. And another one we want to highlight is the Unicorns of Love versus Vitality. Just because the Unicorns of Love, they had a game plan and they broke the mold in terms of picks and bans.
Again, trying to break a little bit of the meta game we had in the 10 pick and ban phase, at least for the Unicorns. You know, they let the Rengar through, picked the Ivan, picked a bunch of shields in response. And Unicorns always exciting and did not let anything down against Vitality.
Unicorns of Love 2-0 in their week. We had a post-game interview this week also with Febvin of H2K, who said that Unicorns of Love were very, very good, possibly second best in that group. Perks and Mithy, what do you guys think?
Well, we haven't played Unicorns much in Screams, I think, but I think they are a good team, like really good team. and they have good players on every role. I think Xerxes is a good jungler. Like he's surprisingly good for a rookie. He's not like he doesn't play as like any rookie's like contract, so was like carrying alone by solo queuing. But I think Xerxes is like a more controlled jungler. He plays like really smart and really good around the pressure.
Mithy facepalmed at that Camille.
Oh my god, I didn't watch that game. Oh, that hurt. Oh,
Yeah.
it felt like a stab on.
Well, Vizicachi was the player of the series also in that one. He did get his hands on Camille in game 2, so that's always good. Short,
Yeah.
maybe Vitality. Where do you guys see that team going this split?
It's always strange, right? Like you always think, oh, Vitality, they're gonna be so good, and then they end up 7th place. So maybe it's safe to say 7th place now. I'm not sure.
Maybe Hachani can whip him into shape as we get further, but still a lot more to see from
Yeah,
Vitality.
I heard
for
that
sure.
Hachani is insane. So
Yeah.
so maybe he can bring the team and teach them all how to play the roles, and then when everyone knows how to play the roles and how to pressure with the map and how to not play for kills or play for outplays like Cabocher is trying to do, and play for pressure and smart play, I think they can be a good team.
Yeah,
Because they have good players.
They have good players. We have a lot to look forward to. All the teams are evolving. We're going to take a look at the standings after 1 week of competition, as they are ranked in terms of series wins. G2 has 2 of those for now. H2K has 2 of those. Then Misfits, Unicorns of Love, each one, and the rest of the teams don't have any wins yet. What is standing out for you for the standings for now?
One thing standing out, it doesn't quite come from the standings, but Misfits a little underwhelming in their first performance. Giants looked a lot better than people were giving them credit for, so we need a couple more weeks of play to see exactly where the newcomers to the EU LCS can find themselves later on in the split.
Mithy and Perks, when you look at these standings after week 1, is this somewhat to be expected, most of the things?
I think it was pretty much like drawn out to be that way. I mean, if we can safely assume that we were going to win our game, right?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I think that's probably like what everyone wrote off for the standings to be if G2 would win the first game.
All right, well, all plans so far. Look forward to what's coming up in week 2. It's a super week because we love those and we miss them so much. So many games, and let's see at G2. You guys are facing Misfits, so how do you think that's gonna go? They are the new and coming quite hyped team.
Well, Misfits kind of remind me like G2 1 year ago, coming from Challenger Series with 2 Koreans and 3 rookies, I think. Oh, they're Power Rival, which is not a rookie. They're like good top and AD, and they're like a pretty interesting team. I think they're not like super good right now, but they have quite how is it called, potential to be good. And I think they're not gonna be like an easy opponent, but I think right now we will probably have the upper hand.
I actually didn't realize until now that I'm playing against my whole team, like my whole old team from Origin.
Yep.
Until now that we're actually all in the same group.
Yep.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Something to look forward to.
Another funny thing to talk about.
So funny.
The real standout
What a funny
match,
fact, guys.
Unicorns H2K on Saturday. That's going to be a great match.
That's going to be a fantastic match indeed. Now, we are going to dive a bit deeper into week 1 with some rookies to watch and the 10-ban meta with our guests. So if you're joining us in client, be sure to hit up youtube.com/LOL Esports for the extended edition of the post-game lobby.
It's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna look at myself every time.
You're going to watch the VOD, of course. Well, now
I would
that's
see
out of the
myself on the
way.
client all the time.
Oh, and a zoom in up there.
Guys, come on.
You can see how good you look. So we're going to talk a bit more about the week. We have a bit more time to dive into some things. And the first thing I want to ask about is your first week performance and just your new entourage and infrastructure. You guys added Weldon as well and Shark. So how's that all going?
I go?
Yeah, you go first.
Surprisingly good. I thought it was going to be a lot more messy, and like I didn't really like have any expectations, but I didn't think it was going to go as well as it's going right now in terms of coaching staff and how we are working as a team towards solving issues, talking about them, and yeah, in general, it just feels a lot better. Like, and it feels like we improve faster too.
I agree with what he's saying. I think we have never been like improving at such a fast rate and so efficient. Like everything we do, even the small things, like every small detail is being improved on by our coaches, on our players, and it's like we are facing problems a lot more. So we are like having conflict, but a positive and like good conflict, and we're just solving so many issues and getting better every day. So I think both of them are a really good addition to our team. And about my personal performance, I think today, overall, I've been working on like the last 3 months to play smarter or like just use my brain more, and it's been working really well. Even though my first game versus Fnatic was but I was really like shaking and nervous, so it was just really stage jitters. But today I was really confident.
Would you mind giving then a concrete example of what did the coaches or what did Weldon then say to you maybe after that game or after that series?
Well, I wasn't like tilting or something. I was just nervous, and I was just playing bad. It's hard to explain, but I was playing nervous and bad. I was 0-3 with Syndra, and now I didn't tilt for a second. So I was actually proud of myself. You know, holy shit, I'm 0-3 feeding, and I'm mentally strong. Like at the Worlds, it was like, oof.
GG,
But now it's really good, and it's been a lot from Weldon too. I think like what he's been teaching us after scrims and between scrims, and yeah.
I think the best part is that we have kind of found, or at least for now, right? Maybe it's like a honeymoon that we're having or anything, but it just feels like, at least during scrims and maybe during the first few games of LCS, that even when things are not going well and when people are tilting off the face of the earth and things are like, just like we don't have a good day in off practice and so on, they're still learning. There's still people trying to keep each other, like comfort each other and like keep the group together. And even if someone is really mad, that person will also like try to like calm down and talk about things with like slowly without trying to trigger someone else, you know, to like start a whole sad or madness situation. So it just overall feels a lot more professional, and that we're all working towards a goal without getting like dug in the bad things that are happening.
Yeah.
You know, you two are more of the outspoken members of G2. Is that the same? Have you had time to speak to Expect, Trick about this and how they're finding some of the progress that maybe Weldon and your support staff have been dealing with it? Because obviously they've been here now for about a year. It's like solidly that they're integrated in Europe. But when it comes to this next step on training, are they finding the same kind of results that you guys are?
I know since Trick has Dejan has been playing with us for just a split, so his English is not as good as Trick's, which has been playing like in Europe for 2 splits now. So I think Trick has an easier time than Dejan, because with Dejan we have to translate some stuff and have Trick translate for Dejan a little bit, even though he knows, like he understands like pretty much all the basic. But once you talk about like
More
some
complex
psychology stuff that Weldon starts talking about chemistry and stuff with us, you know, on the whiteboard,
then pulls out his phone and yep, let's translate this word and this word.
Yeah, but usually I think it's going well, and as long as we keep trusting and hopefully things keep going well, and even if we lose, we kind of like just keep our mental strength together and try to work on things to improve on. And if we keep that mindset, like maybe, like I said before, we're in a honeymoon pace, and at some point it will just everyone will just explode and everything will go wrong. But for now, it's going well, and we will just try to keep it going how it's going.
I know you guys are focused in the moment, but just to put the fans at ease there, if you can say anything about it, obviously our big storyline is here. We know that G2 is good, and they should be good again domestically, but they're already thinking about those international events and that performance, because that is kind of the big blemish on your record so far. I know you said publicly, hey, we're focusing on the split and winning the spring split. So how much is that something that lives, or how much is that something that you consciously try and avoid a bit for now?
Well, for me, it's since my performance at Worlds was really catastrophic, and our team's performance too. For me, it's really important to win the spring split and go to MSI, where it all started, the whole fiasco. So redeem our picture, my picture there, and I don't. In the long term, is of course goal, but I think this is my first goal, and this is what we should do, and I really will try for my life to do that.
Okay.
I think as a team, we are now looking, since we've now had the experience, and I think that during the first split that we played together, we just played a lot more comfortable, as in we just played around our strong lanes, or for example, bot lane would have a good game or they would have a good matchup and we just play around bot lane, and we didn't really like think about the strategy and how to play as a team. And even if we're playing around bot, we still should like play as a team around bot and not just like with our jungler only. And I think that we kind of like got that experience from Worlds, that teams were playing as a unit, and we are trying to implement that now this year, and obviously it's hard, and we're going to make a lot of mistakes, and we're making a lot of mistakes, but we are trying to have the idea where we want to work as a unit, and once we face a team that is also really good, then we will lose as a unit, and we will lose because we make mistakes as a team together, and not because we are just like all over the place and not really where we're supposed to be.
That's super interesting, and of course we'll be following your growth as well. Excuse me. And we also want to look at the first week of 10 ban system here in the EU LCS. We saw evolving metas already. Here we see again how everything plays out.
Yeah, we've had enough games. I think people are used to it now, but if you haven't quite seen enough, of course, pick and ban phase. Pick and ban phase 1 is 3 bans, 3 picks for each team, and then 2 bans, 2 picks in ban phase 2 and pick phase 2. We've had a lot of games on it. Perks, a lot of focus towards mid laners. Mithy, a lot of focus towards supports. Perks, what's your biggest takeaway about moving to 10 bans now?
Well, it's so complicated, and that's the first thing why I like it. It gives so much more like variables, what you can do, and right now I think the draft is actually like somewhat pretty balanced. Like blue side gets more free bans because the red side has to ban Rengar and Camille, which are like considered really OP, and LeBlanc I think is like a if you want to ban it or if you're not comfortable playing against it, even though I think it can be played against. And for blue side then you have a first pick of an OP champ. Or you have 3 free bans, which you can like target one, or you can like target different roles and then pick draft according to that. But for red side, it's like they have last pick in the first phase, so they can pick the champ and then ban something out that counters that champion. And I think it's just like it's divided what 3 roles are the most OP, or like what is the best blind pick for these 3 roles in the first draft, and then in the second draft is like about counter picking or getting a stronger matchup for like either bot lane or mid lane.
I think it's quite interesting that you say, so coming into the week, we thought, okay, Camille, Rengar have to be banned out for sure. And then LeBlanc, you say you can leave it open, because obviously for you, it would be really nice if you get your hands on it. But we saw, for instance, in the UOL versus Vitality series that Vitality got their hands on Rengar and the Unicorns of Love had a comp drafted against it. So, Mithy, do you still agree that Camille and Rengar are the must bans and LeBlanc may be left open, or how do you think the variation is evolving?
I think there's going to be like a lot of different versions and a lot of different strategies that are going to be coming up, especially when now that other regions are playing too, you can see what some other regions are testing and what some other regions have found out. So the game is constantly evolving, and so will the draft. Overall, 10-man draft, I think, 10-man draft, I just think that it's a lot more fun because you get to play a lot more champions and you have a lot more diverse things that you can do and a lot of playful things that you can do. And as long as the meta doesn't become like very focused on one thing, like for example for top it will be only tanks or only this and only that, then it's yeah. But the main thing, or the thing I think that is going to be really nice is that at least I get to play a lot of different stuff, and maybe top lane will get to play a lot of different stuff, because on the last 2 bans you can target ban one player, target ban one pool of champions, and that just makes it a lot more fun.
And that sorry, please.
I agree with what Mithy said, and it's also more fun for mid lane, because right now on mid lane you can actually play so many different champions, and I like to play a lot of different styles. So I think it allows mid lane who have deeper champion pool to shine more, or to be like reliability in draft, or like you can win draft by just having either like a trust in your bot lane or top lane or mid lane to like ban out champions and then play like a 6 champion or like a 7 champion from the draft, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's really good for teams with wide champion pools.
Yeah, and also LeBlanc, Syndra, and Ryze were the most contested, and watching a LeBlanc player or Syndra is also very interesting for the viewers. And then in terms of the support champion pool, we have Zyra, of course, a must-have. We have the Malzahar in there as well. You, or in last series, there was also a Tahm Kench that was coming out.
That was a 6th champion.
Yeah. So how do you feel about the pool that is at your disposition, and how you can kind of flex your muscles with different picks?
I feel like I'm not really good at anything, but I can play everything kind of like okay. At least I not to the point where I don't get flamed too much. So overall it's fine. I can play MF, I can play Zyra, Malzahar, Karma, Tahm Kench, and then all the tanks, you know.
Do you now mean mechanically, or?
Yeah, mechanically. I mean mechanically. I think just in general there's so many things that you can play, and if you target one person, I think probably like the hardest for me would be to play Thresh well. But yeah, I think
just baiting people into playing trash.
In general, it's just more fun because I get to play a lot of different stuff, and it's just not like Braum, Tahm Kench, Braum, Tahm Kench, Tahm Kench, Braum, like it was before.
All right.
I'm interested to know, we had a lot of people say, oh, red side looks very, very strong with the number of, first bans, first picks they get in phase 2. And we've seen red side be forced into picks at the end of the first phase where, if you don't pick a Zyra or a Misfortune, it's going to get banned. What are your thoughts, Perks, on the strength of red side and blue side? Because everybody's still picking blue for first pick.
I think everyone is picking blue for the reason I mentioned, is that you can ban out someone. Like for example, versus Fnatic, we picked blue because I thought Caps was their best player. So if we ban out Katarina and I don't know what the champ was, only Katarina, and the next game Ryze, that we will have like a lot easier time winning the game, because the way they play is they play towards mid and they rely on him to snowball and carry.
And then you lost game 2 when he played Ryze.
Yeah, but it was really unlucky. It was just unlucky.
Backdoor.
And it allows you to pick first pick, which is what I mentioned is really strong, like Zyra or something that's really contested, and then you can pick like 2 safe champions, and you can get a counter pick for next one, and a safe blind pick like for top, or like counter pick for mid and safe blind pick for top, or vice versa. So
I think it will just change depending on the meta, because once the red side doesn't have two, like I was saying that they were not maybe must bans, but right now they kind of are must bans, like Camille and Rengar at least. Then you have like it's very easy as blue side. You can just sit down and be like, okay guys, let's draft. They're gonna ban Camille and Rengar. Yeah. What do we do? You know. So you already know how they're going to start their draft, so you can already prepare your own draft.
Unless you're against the Unicorns of Love. Of course.
Yeah, that's actually gonna be a tough one. Yeah.
But if you don't sit down and are like, yeah, okay, they have those 3 bans. We have 3 bans to play with. We have the first pick. We have this or that. You know, it's much easier to prepare on blue side. That's why teams are liking that side more. But once maybe those champions are not banned every game, then I think red side also has a lot of strengths, because you have the last pick, so you can take a champion. Like for example, you can take Zyra on the last rotation of the first rotation of champions. You can take Zyra and then you can ban MF, for example. And then they're like, oh shit, no, he got Zyra and now we can't play MF into Zyra. So there's things you can do on red side too that are also very good. But right now, since it's very telegraphed that the red side team is going to ban at least 2 champions, it's much easier to...
TLDR, we're all happy with the 10-man system, it seems like?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. I also heard you talking about Caps, and we do want to also keep an eye on the new EU LCS talent, and it is Caps. Of course, Caps has some experience in the Turkish league as well, and he just seems to be fitting in really well. Of course, we're going to look at this again. Sorry,
He's so insane. He just knew the turret was going to hit me there, so he just flashed in.
So talk me through, what do you think the good things are about like Cap so far? In lane, he seemed to be quite good, but you then mentioned that you had a better time getting into the game macro-wise. So give me your opinion on Caps.
I think in lane, in scrims, he was really, really good. I think on stage he was a bit nervous, so I had an easier time, or I should have had an easier time, but I didn't. And I think he's a really good mechanically, like talented gift player, how you want to call it, because he spams a lot of games and he just he plays the matchups very well. Like the lane matchups, he can play lane matchups better than probably every mid laner in LCS, but I think then he like lacks a lot of things that other mid laners have, like experience, game knowledge, positioning in team fights, and like just everything else about the laning phase. I think he has to work on that stuff, but I think he is really talented and he can go really far.
Do you think that of all the mid laners that we see, there's like this arc, it kind of happened to you that you were really good mechanically and in lane, and then you kind of, as you say now you have to focus a bit more on the other aspects of the game and the macro. We saw the same thing with Febiven actually. He completely slaughtered people in lane and mechanically, but then the rest didn't come and he had to focus on that. Is that just normal nowadays because you can't learn it all at the same time?
I mean, the Febiven thing is debatable in 2015 because Fnatic was so much better than everyone else. Okay. But he was really good, like mechanically, team player, and like just cleaning up and playing fights perfectly. Like he was really insane, yeah. But I think you're right. What you're saying is like last year I was focusing more on myself, like individually. Like I wanted to be like so fucking good that I can win versus everyone with my eyes closed, you know. And it was like not a good mindset to have, obviously, for a little cocky kid. And and then like after Worlds and everything, even before Worlds, I already started like thinking of more macro, more brain, using my brain, etc., etc. But it just, I don't know, it was a really bad tournament for me. And then after that, I spent a lot of time just focusing on myself, not the mechanics part and everything else, which made me grow and improve a lot. I think it's gonna be same for Caps, or maybe not, because maybe he will not be as cocky as I was, and maybe he will take advice from his teammates or just whatever to make him not feel the fall or like the fail at international tournaments. So yeah, I think if Fnatic gets international tournaments, he will perform. I mean, it's early to say, but he can perform good.
He has 3 veterans in his team. I just want to point out. And Jessis is kind of a veteran too, in a way. And yeah, 3 veterans. 2 of them also, like together with me, also helped out Sven when he was starting. He was starting to play. So I think that if he plays his cards out right and listens to everyone that wants to give him advice and wants to help him out, even though maybe all advice he doesn't agree with, but every advice is welcome, right? I think he can overcome all these small things that kind of like hold you back.
We're all looking forward to seeing Caps' growth, and especially the Perks-Caps rivalry, which maybe we'll get to see a few more times in 2017. Speaking about a player that was playing for his team, I want to talk about Xerxes. For all the Unicorns of Love, has experience in Turkey, much like Caps, but this guy showed no nerves on the stage yesterday, bringing out different picks, bringing out the Rumble. We saw, you know, the Ivan come out as well. Seemed to have a great game. What were your opinions on him, Perks?
He's actually impressed me a lot. I didn't expect, like, as I saw in some interview that Alex said that he was going to be a new monster or something. I was kind of cringy to that, but it turned out to be really true. Like, he's really impressed me, and he's been performing he's been performing like a veteran, not like a rookie, which is like pretty surprising for me for a guy who just entered LCS. You know, yeah, he has experience in Turkey and stuff, but this is like a lot better teams and higher pressure, and yeah. He's just been really solid, and I look to see more of him.
Still, it's interesting that both Caps and Xerxes, they come from those Turkish leagues and they come here and they perform quite well immediately. And to the fact that he also has a big champion pool, which is, he fits in great in the Unicorns of Love. If you have a deep champion pool, you can give Sheepy all these tools to work with.
Xerxes and Caps actually played on the same team, I think.
Yeah, they were carrying together.
No.
They were insane.
See, there we go.
Insane duo. Imagine they were together in LCS.
Those maybe someday. Well, they got off to a flying start on both teams here. And another rookie we want to keep an eye on is Ignar. He also got the player of the series when they played Misfits played versus Giants. It was 2 days ago. There were a lot of matches. So, Mithy, what do you think about Ignar?
I really didn't watch the game. I'm so sorry.
You played versus him in solo queue?
I haven't played much against him, but he seems...
Can you say anything?
Okay, the games I've seen him play, he seems very... I mean, I see him play Thresh a lot, and I really have a very hate-love relationship with Thresh, where I think that the champ is useless one game.
The champ is good, but he's too bad to play it. So.
Yeah, I think the champ is... basically. I think the champ is useless one game, and then I get destroyed by the champion, and I'm like, okay, so maybe Thresh is a good pick, you know, and then I play it, and then I'm like, nah, guys, Thresh is horrible, trust me.
This is what happens when we give a support player of the series. Mithy is just like, no, I can't say anything about it.
No.
Ignar looked great in Challenger, like really, really solid against the Challenger support, so I'm looking forward to seeing him against more LCS supports. Now, the guy earned a lot of player of the games in Challenger, and if he can kind of maybe be a little less aggressive at times,
I mean, I'd say he got his comfort pick in Thresh on that first game, and they didn't do so well, and then they put him on Malzahar, and he flashed in, and he ulted, and he saved those Barons, so I would say that maybe some of that Challenger experience is coming in. All right, that's it, guys. Anything else?
When do I play against Ignar? I play against
next week in the Super Week, actually. Misfits versus G2. Yeah, there we go.
So am I featured matchup? Is that how it goes?
You know what? We're going to think about it. But thank you guys very much for joining us here after week one. It is time to log out of the post-game lobby. That concludes week one of the EULCS 2017 Spring Split. From all of us here on the broadcast team, thank you for joining us. And we'll see you on Thursday at 5 p.m. Central European Time to bring you more League of Legends goodness. Goodnight.
Peace.
Tschüssi.
All the way through and first blood for the Maokai. And Benji, he's gonna get caught by the rest of the team. Maxlor has jumped in. Safeguard, not safe enough. Maxlor is burning and gone. And down goes Radin. And just like that, 3 kills on the board for G2.
3 people down here, but there's a double teleport and in comes Trick and Mithy. It's never just one. And just like that, they're gonna burn through Maxlor. Nice
Push straight, but Perks coming around the backside. Sven opens up the curtains, and now Rocket, they're gonna make him disappear. How about that for a magic trick? What an ace! 38 minutes, and G2, it's gonna be Nexus. Betsy's here. Maybe he can find Trick. The damage just enough. No, it isn't. Trick with the outplay. Now Betsy, there's no one else there. Expected Trick. They just said, forget it. We're on to the Nexus right now, and there's nothing Rocket can do. G2 sweep the series.
And then my teammate's gonna get hesitant. I don't know. Gonna get the shock blast. Trashy shield as he makes it out.
Yankos wants the highlight. Wonder's gonna take him down. No, it is he, Yankos. Oh, he pulls back.
H2K, they're too far ahead.
It was everything we expected from the draft, and H2K out-execute to take game 1.
but Yankos is on the way. Wonder Mayhem overstepped. He's dismounted. Pocket pistol, not going to take him to safety. First blood for the First Blood King. Yankos maybe looking for the out duel. Flashes forward. Does have the empowered Q. Can just reset it. Sencux. H2K is picking them apart. Sencux wants to make the hero play. Can he get the reset? Flash out. Double kill for H2K. As they move into their second game win, their fourth game win of the week, their second series win. H2K off to a clean and confident start as Jay takes the glory in the last seconds.